Obviously, I had never given birth before, so I didn't know the difference between just regular postpartum pain and what was because I had torn. 6-week appointment came, and so when she came in, she had me lay back, so, Jet's just on my chest while I'm getting checked out, and she's down there for a couple of minutes. I was like, "Well, that's not normal." So they told me that it was granulation tissue. So they said, "Unfortunately, like, we're gonna have to remove it."
Hi, I'm Kayla Heater, follower of Jesus, wife and mother of 5 children, Christian childbirth educator and doula, and your host of the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, where we share God-centered birth stories, evidence-based birth education, and our pursuit of surrendering our birth plans to God. Let's get started. Hey everyone, hope your week is off to a great start. Hope you are enjoying this beautiful fall that we're having. I'm genuinely looking forward to this week because the temperatures are going to start dropping into the 60s as the high, and that's just my sweet spot. I love that so much. 50s and 60s as the high is like my favorite kind of weather. So I'll be switching out clothes this week, putting away our summer and spring clothes and getting out our fall and winter clothes. But of course, I know it's North Carolina, so we'll leave a few, shorts and t-shirts and stuff for the random super warm days that we are sure to get. But hopefully it will be mostly sweater weather now, which is my absolute favorite time of the year. And my Ohio State Buckeyes are doing great this season, and I hope I didn't just jinx them by saying that, but it's been a great football season for our team so far. So if anyone else is a Buckeye fan out there, go Bucks. Okay, I want to read a review. I haven't done that in a few weeks, and I got one that actually came through on my birthday, which is so fun because that is just the best birthday gift. But now I can go ahead and read it to you. It is from Girl Mama times 3. She says, I just had my 3rd and found this podcast early in this pregnancy. It has truly been a blessing to me to listen to all the incredible ways God has worked through each pregnancy and labor to prepare each mom to raise her little one. I eagerly await for Monday so I can listen to the newest episode each week. And I love that. Thank you so much for leaving that review. It means so much to me and my husband, and I'm so glad that you can look forward to it each and every week. That truly warms my heart. If you have not left a review for this podcast yet, please do. It's so easy. Wherever you're listening to your podcast, just scroll down, click write a review, and you'll be able to just type it in. It's super easy. You can do it from your phone, computer, wherever you're listening from, and help spread the word of this podcast and therefore the love of birth and the love of Jesus. Okay, let's get into this week's episode. When you have a relatively smooth pregnancy and a spontaneous, quick, uncomplicated, and unmedicated birth at 39 weeks, you seem to have won the pregnancy and childbirth lottery, right? That's what Matthew and Monika thought until she hit postpartum. And it wasn't postpartum depression that took her out. It was her tear she endured during delivery that was unable to heal. For 6 months, Monika had to return to her doctor every few weeks for more painful procedures and eventually surgery. It was like starting from day one all over again every time. And that can take a toll on anybody, let alone a freshly postpartum new mother filled with hormones. Before we actually start this episode, I did want to say this is one of our special 2-part episodes. So this week you will hear the first birth story for Matthew and Monika, and you'll have to come back next week to hear their second birth story. And trust me, you're going to want to. Well, welcome to another episode of Surrendered Birth Stories. I am your host, Kayla Heater, and I have Matthew and Monika with me today. And I'm super excited because I know them in real life. Which is always fun. So, why don't you guys take a second, introduce yourselves, let us know who we're talking to and what your life is like.
Well, I'm Monika. I am 27 years old, so that's going to make you tell your age. And we've been married for
4 years.
4 years. That's right.
I was like as old as my
years.
fourth son is, because he was like this big at your wedding.
He was teeny tiny. There's photos and videos of Kayla in the very back of our wedding holding baby.
And I'm her husband, Matthew. I'm 31. And fun fact, talking about our wedding, Kayla's husband actually officiated our wedding. So we go way back.
We do go way back. He did our premarital counseling.
Yeah. And Kayla and Chris did our premarital counseling.
Yeah. Aww.
Been there for some big moments.
She really has.
Yeah.
There's no part that you haven't been a part of, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm honored and privileged. And yes, your wedding was my very first time leaving the house with my newborn at that time. True. When he was 4. Well, when he was born, now he's 4, but because you're 4, your wedding or your marriage is 4.
Our marriage is 4, so however old True is.
Right. You guys are the same age. Okay. But we're not here to talk about my babies. We're here to talk about your babies. So you have 2 beautiful boys. So let's get into their stories. Okay. So you got married 4 years ago.
Yes.
Take us to the first pregnancy. When did it happen? Was it planned? All the things.
So we found out we were pregnant the week before our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I had been on birth control the first year of our marriage, and I started having a bad reaction to the birth control. And so we decided, like, this is not worth it. Like, let's just get off of it. And we had a lot of friends that were struggling to get pregnant. And that was kind of, you don't know until you know. So we were like, if it happens, great. So we kind of went into it with that mindset, and I was pregnant 4 weeks later. And so, you always second guess it. And so one morning I got up. Matthew, we have a thing in our marriage. Really, it's a Matthew thing, but that's okay. I love you.
This is my preference.
This is Matthew's preference. And so I abide by it. I submit. He will not let me take a pregnancy test without knowing that I'm taking the test. He has to know that it's happening.
I don't like the surprise.
No.
I know some people are into that,
situation.
like the social media videos where like, oh, they hand you the gift and they open it up and it's a positive. No, I don't. I want to know in the moment. We are one. I want to be there with you.
Yeah, he said he would be mad. So
yeah.
You're in good company because my husband feels the same way, and I've never taken a pregnancy test without him. So
yes. So that's what we did. I woke up really early one morning. I was like, I got to do it. We got to take one. And just like peeked out the bathroom. And I was like, honey. So we found out we were pregnant the week before our anniversary, which we had an anniversary trip planned to Universal. And so I called Kayla the morning we found out we were pregnant. I was like, we're going to Universal Studios next week. Can I ride roller coasters? She said,
and what did I say?
You said yes, because it was early enough, all of this stuff. But in every line they would say, if you're pregnant, you should not ride this ride.
Right. Well, if you're like 8 months pregnant, you probably shouldn't. But
yeah, I felt like everybody could smell it on me. So anyway, so we celebrated our 1-year anniversary pregnant. So we decided that we wanted to do the midwife route. We kind of went back and forth really with you. We did our birthing class through Surrendered Birth Services. Before it was Surrendered Birth Services, correct?
Right. That was before I actually officially launched the business. That was when I was just like, hey guys, come take my class because I already wrote this curriculum.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I still have that binder. It's almost within sight of me right now.
And we went through it page by page.
Yeah.
Our second birth.
Both of them, yeah.
Well, it's been edited and updated now. Man, I have to give you the latest edition.
Well, you know what? We're not planning another pregnancy currently. So
okay. One day.
No major announcement tonight. So we went through your class and kind of talked through our options, home birth, birth center, hospital birth, and just decided for our first, we'd like to go the hospital route, but we wanted to go the midwife route just because we kind of fall in that lane a little bit more. So we loved our midwife in Greensboro. So we went to appointments, found out it was a boy, very excited. I come from all girls on my side of the family, so it was going to be a wild ride for me, I think. So we decided to have Kayla as our doula for our first birth. And so you got to walk with us through it all. So let's see. Jet is our firstborn's name. He is now 2.5. And
your pregnancy was pretty, I wouldn't say easy, because no pregnancy is easy, but like on a scale of like 0 to really, really sick, you had a pretty light pregnancy.
That was really our telltale sign that I was pregnant. I was exhausted. I would come home from work and like you would find me asleep before dinner, and then I would get up and eat dinner and go back to bed. It was just wild. I had started a new job that week or 2 weeks before that. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was the new job. Yeah, not a bad pregnancy. I wasn't really sick at all, just tired. But that was really it. Nothing like some people we know. So
you should have 100 babies, Monika.
I know. Our friends do tell us that. I actually had someone today say, "Would you be my surrogate?" I said no. For reasons that we can talk about later on this podcast. So yeah, easy pregnancy, really. I would do it again sometime down the road. So let's see. We started chatting with you quite a lot towards the end, just because trying to see how close we were. And you like to tell everybody that you're going to go 42 weeks just to prepare your heart to go that long. And so that's what we were trying to keep in line with our vision of it's going to be a while, whatever. So, in our 38th week, I was texting you a lot about like, hey, I'm feeling this, or this is happening, or whatever. And you're like, yeah, it's probably like early signs that like, something's happening, but you've got a couple of weeks and all that stuff. So, okay.
Don't get too excited.
So I think on January 11th, I sent you a text and was like, I think I've lost my mucus plug. Like, I think that was it. And so we kind of went back and forth, and you said, yeah, so, it could be a couple of days, whatever,
You were right at 39 weeks.
Right at 39 weeks.
You had not hit 39 yet.
So it was the day before 39 weeks.
Yeah.
So, so we were like, okay, well, we'll just keep that in mind, whatever. So January 12th, I woke up and texted you, and I was like, I think I have bloody show now. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, well, that means that it's, it's starting, but it could be, 24 hours, it could be 48, whatever. Okay.
Always good to keep that mentality. It could be a very long time.
It could be a very long time. So that's what we were trying to keep in our head, was we could be on this road for 48 more hours. So I decided to go to work. We really went back and forth on whether I should go to work that morning. I was training my replacement for while I was on maternity leave, and I was not done training her. So I decided to go into work. I went in a little late. I think I got to the office about 9. And then I was sitting there training this girl and peed my pants. And I was like, well, that's new. Doesn't typically happen. Excuse me, I need to run to the restroom. So I ran to the restroom. And I was like, that was not right. So I called Kayla, called you, and said, how would I know if I peed myself or if my water broke? And you said, well, does it smell like pee? Mm-hmm. Or does it smell like water? So my water had broken at work, which was my biggest fear. 2 fears was that I was going to be on stage worshiping on the worship team, or that I was going to be at work and somebody else was going to have to clean up after me.
Hey, I'd rather be at work than on stage when your water breaks. I mean,
that was a fear. Yeah.
But because you were texting me too at the same time. I was off work that day.
Yeah.
And you were texting me. You told me you peed your pants. And you're like, well, it can't be my water because it wasn't a lot. Like, because it wasn't
it wasn't a gush. It was like a leak.
I mean,
like
I know that can be
show.
Right. I think that's kind of what you had in mind, like this, like, oh, my, very obvious, like it's just flowing out of you kind of thing. But it was just enough that you're like, oh no, I peed my pants. It can't be my water.
It can't be my water until I called Kayla.
So, I was in the shower when that happened.
Was it really?
Yes, because I was like getting on the phone with you, like, and then we had like people at our house, and I was like, "Yep, guys, can you hang out actually till Chris gets home? Because I think I'm about to go."
It's funny. I did not know that detail. We're learning things. So I waddled back into my office, said, "Gotta go. Good luck." So ran out, and it was I think it was 21 days of fasting.
Yeah, I was fasting at the time.
So Matthew was fasting. He hadn't eaten for like a week.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite a week at that point, but it had been a couple of days.
It had been a couple of days.
So she was like, "I'm going through a drive-through on the way home. I'm going to get food. I'm going to bring you food. You need to eat
You should eat now before I even get home with the food, because I'm going to need you to be present and not hungry."
Again, preparing for the long game.
Right. So, drove through, sitting on my towel, came home, and I don't think I ate much because I called you. We were kind of talking, and you said, go home, take a shower, take a nap. Like,
didn't you go into the office though?
We did. And so I came home, we ate some breakfast.
You got an appointment to be seen.
You had an appointment. That was our 39-week appointment. Like, we were supposed to see them every week at that point. And so I had that appointment set for 11 a.m., I think.
Yeah. So you just decided, I'm just going to go in and be seen at my appointment. So we were waiting out for that appointment.
Yeah. That was my plan going into work that morning, was I'm just going to go to work until I need to leave for that appointment. And then after that appointment, I'm going to get checked out, and then I'm going to go home. I'm not going to go back to work. So when I came home,
ended up driving you to that appointment.
That's right. We ate breakfast. Thank you. We ate breakfast, and then we went to that appointment, and we got there, check in, tell them my name, whatever, and wait in the waiting room. I didn't tell them that my water broke. because I didn't feel anything. That was the thing that morning, was I don't feel contractions, quote unquote. I'm not feeling anything like what you talk about. Like, I had some almost crampy feelings, but just like a period cramp. Like, it was nothing dramatic in any way. Some lower back pain, like burning sensation kind of, but that was it. So we sat in the waiting room. The nurse that typically saw us came back, and she said, "So how you doing?" I was like, "I'm good. My water broke this morning." And from that moment, she was not happy with us. She was like, "Why didn't you call us?" And
she was like, you should have gone to the
hospital.
Like, she was upset that
she was very
not at the hospital already.
And I was like,
drama.
I'm okay. I'm fine.
I'm okay. I'm not contracting. There's no reason to go in.
I'm fine. So she goes back, and I think that our midwife came in and looked at us and told us at that point that I was 3 to 4 centimeters dilated. And she said, "We're going to hook you up for a stress test just to kind of see what your contractions are doing, see how Jet is doing, and then we'll kind of go from there." And I told her, I said, "We would really like to go home. We don't want to go straight to the hospital from here. We really want to go home and labor for a little while." I was texting you the whole time, like, what do I say?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
I want to be stuck in the hospital for 24, 48 hours if this is what it's going to look like. Like, I want to go home and sit on my couch and watch a movie or do whatever I want. Eat whatever I want.
And not have them poking and prodding you.
Yeah, and just in and out and start the whole process. So she said, "Okay, we'll talk about it. Like, let's get you hooked up and take a look, and then we'll talk about it." And she was always, our whole pregnancy prenatal journey was very, whatever we wanted, that's what she was going to make happen, which we really appreciated.
Yeah.
So,
because your plan was to be non-medicated,
completely natural. Yeah. So that was the plan. So we hooked up, and they kind of said, probably multiple people who listen to this podcast have done this. You sit back and they hook you up, but you're kind of semi-reclined. And anytime I laid reclined on my back, Jet, because of the position of my placenta, the placenta was on the front of my belly. So like Matthew couldn't really feel Jet kick or anything like that. And there was no like dramatic, like you could see his hand because the placenta was there. So I couldn't feel Jet very well when I was on my back. It was when I was on my side or on like more towards the front of my stomach that I could feel him. So they told me to push the button whenever I felt Jet move. And I didn't push it much because I didn't, like, he wasn't dramatically kicking. I couldn't really feel him move a lot. And so the nurse that was very unhappy with us because we weren't in the hospital kept coming in and saying, like, push this button when you feel him move. And I was like, oh, I will. Like, okay. And So she kept coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And so at one point she comes in and she says, "You're going to go straight to the hospital."
Well, she was not very nice. She came in and held up the sheet. She said, "You failed the test.
You failed.
His heart rate's dropping. You need to go now."
Dropping
Yeah.
to what?
She was like, "He's in distress. Like
because he's
not moving. He's in stress. You need to go now." And so we were like, okay, well, we're going to speak to our midwife first. And so as we're watching, because you can see the screen beside you, I'm watching and I'm seeing that I am having contractions. And as I was watching it on the screen, I could tell like, oh, that's what it feels like. That was not what I was expecting. We found that I have a very high pain tolerance.
Yeah, you do.
I didn't have to know that until childbirth. Anyway, so I was watching and seeing the contractions come and I could tell that I was having them. And as I was sitting there, they were getting a little, like progressively a little bit more intense, but nothing bad. Not what I was expecting, I think I should say. And so the nurse came in, said that we had failed, and we said we wanted to speak to our midwife. So when she came in next, she said, "All right, everything looks good. You're good to go home if that's what you still want to do." And we just kind of looked at each other. We kind of felt like we'd been whiplashed a little bit, because when somebody tells you that your baby's in distress, she also told us that like we needed to stop being selfish and think about Jet and what Jet needed. So Amanda came in, our midwife, and said, "You're good to go home." And we were like, "But our nurse told us that like we failed and that Jet's in distress and we need to go straight to the hospital." And Amanda looked at us and she looked at the test again. And she said, "Okay, well, I'll be right back. Give me just a second." Okay. And I think the nurse came in one more time. And that's when she told us, like, you need to stop being selfish, basically, and said we were going to go to the hospital. And we're like, "Amanda just told us to go home. What is happening?" So our midwife came back in and she said, "No, like, you're good. Let's go home for a little while. Like, here's my personal cell phone number. Call me when you're ready to head back."
She said, "You're going to have your baby today. I think you're going to have your baby today." But she kind of offset what the other nurse was. She was like, "I think she's just really trying to make sure everything goes well. Like, y'all are fine." She was very honoring of what you wanted for your delivery and reassured us that it was not as extreme as the nurse was making it sound.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether you are pregnant with your first baby or wanting to have a different birth experience for a subsequent delivery, this is the fully comprehensive Christian childbirth course for you, the Surrendered Birth Course. With over 10 years of experience as a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and having had 5 kids myself, almost 6, I have created a course fit for every mama out there who wishes to be fully informed on all things pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding, while remembering to keep Jesus at the center of it all. Our God created a beautiful design for birth, something to look forward to, and not something to be feared. Not only will this course get you prepared for your birth, but it will also get you excited for it. It will answer questions you never knew you had and teach you things you didn't realize were so incredibly valuable and central to the entire birthing process. I've had numerous couples on their 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th babies who've taken this course and said how incredibly glad they were and that they learned so much more than they ever thought they would. With over 12 hours of video content, 5 modules, numerous lessons, detailed PDF printout notes, and endless resources, we dive deep into pregnancy, labor, the risks and benefits of interventions, inductions, immediate and extended postpartum for both mom and baby, everything you need to know about breastfeeding, and basic newborn care. This course covers everything. Once you've taken the course, I am available to you for any questions you might have during a monthly live Q&A Zoom call exclusive to our online course audience, as well as through email. The course is on demand, so as soon as you purchase it, you'll be able to start right away and re-watch any lessons as many times as you need. Whether you are planning a medicated hospital birth or an unmedicated birth at a birth center or home birth, this course will prepare you in every way that you can be prepared. While I understand the desire to take a specific hospital or home birth course catered to your specific birth plans, birth doesn't always go how we plan. And having the knowledge of how birth can go in other environments outside of our plans is essential. Most importantly, I will help you to surrender these plans to God. And in return, the Holy Spirit will provide you with the peace that only He can give. For more information on the course, to read testimonials of others who have taken it, or to sign up for the course, just click the link in the show notes. And lastly, remember, just like we say here every week on the podcast, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
So that's what we did. I think as we were walking out, I had to stop walking at one point. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. I
Because
can't
I
remember
felt-
the exact number of like how far apart she told you to call her on your contractions.
I can't remember because she knew that we had Kayla as our doula. And
Yeah.
so I think for a long time I had that note on my phone of I had tracked them in the doctor's office. I had been tracking our
Mhm.
contractions. I don't remember how far apart they were still in the office. And I don't remember when she said to call.
I just remember when we got in the car leaving the office from the time you had been sitting in there tracking them to the time we drove home, they had almost like cut in half how far
Yes.
apart they were.
I want to say they were maybe like 8 minutes. I think they were 7 to 8 minutes. I think I remember that.
I think I do too. And by the time you got in the car, they were more like
like
4 to
5.
5. Yeah.
Yes, I think that that's right. I'm really glad that you're here.
Which we started, I think that's where like radar started going off a little bit of
Yeah.
like this, like you hear other people talk about their pregnancy, and it's
Right.
like that sounds fast.
That
but
sounds like towards the end of like, oh, when contractions are 5 minutes apart, like you kind of seem like, oh, this is labor
but
for sure.
This had only been like a span of 30 minutes that you were
Since-
sitting there tracking them 8 minutes apart.
Since I
and you were driving
realized
home.
that I was having contractions because I was watching them on the screen. Otherwise, I think I still would have thought I was just crampy a little bit.
Yeah, because you never had the dramatic like, oh, I need to breathe, I need to stop. You're just
Not at
kind of
that
like,
point,
you're like,
yeah.
I just feel a little achy. Like it was very minimal the way that you were describing it to me.
Yeah. So walking to the car, I said, you know, they're more like 5 minutes apart. And I had to stop walking to the car at one point. But we still wanted to go home because in our mind, we're going for another 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours.
That's right. See, and I think your mentality is what really helped you in this case.
You're relaxed.
Well, until one point, which we'll talk about later. We went home and we were texting you the whole time of like, hey, we're still going to go home. And you told me go home and take a shower and try and take a nap. I was like, okay. We got in the house. I went straight to the shower and you came and sat in the bathroom with me because you're like, I don't like you seem like it's a little intense right now. And I don't want you to be.
Yeah,
in there
you were
by yourself.
starting to, you were always
was talking.
present and talking, but it was definitely becoming more visible.
Yeah.
Like
it
everything
was
you were
bothering
feeling
me.
before you were having to describe to me. And now I was kind of seeing
Watching
it
it a
start to
little bit.
happen. Like the contractions obviously were getting more intense because you would kind of,
Mhm.
you'd hold the wall and you'd breathe a little bit. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to sit here just in case while
I
you're in the
can't
shower.
remember which was first, if I tried to take a nap first or if I tried to take a shower first.
I think you tried to lay down and you said it
I
hurt too bad
sat
to lay
down on the couch and immediately shot back up and said, that hurts. Like I can't sit down. That hurts. And like trying to even like lay over so that I wasn't sitting, I just shot right back up. So we went and took a shower. And I remember we have a very small shower. I remember like holding the walls in the shower at one point. I was like, this hurts. Like this is just intense. This is more than what it was. Like it's getting more intense.
And I don't think we had been home even an hour.
No.
I don't think so. Because part of our process, our thought process was we don't want to get to the hospital and just be there.
Right.
We want our freedom. Like we just want to be where we're comfortable and all that stuff. But equally, we didn't want to call you too soon and make you come all the way to our house and just sit there, not that you make us feel watched, but I just didn't like,
Right.
if we're going to be here for 24 hours, why would I make you leave your children and your husband and whatever else you're doing with your day too early? And so we texted you a lot. And then I think at some point I couldn't text you anymore. Matthew was having to text you. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think we finally just made the call. You're like,
just call her. It
just felt like things were moving faster. Like it was on like an expedited trajectory. And we're like, we
just don't know what to expect.
It's our first pregnancy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing seemed textbook of what we felt like we had heard other people talk about or described. So I think we were starting to feel uncomfortable. And we're like, well, if we're uncomfortable, let's just ask Kayla to come over.
That's what Kayla's for.
Yeah.
That's why I'm there.
We finally
let's
just ask her to come over.
Let's just ask her to come over, which you live 20, 25 minutes from us.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew it was going to take you, about 30 minutes to even get here. So we made that call, and I remember you pulling in. I remember that Encanto was playing.
You had some Disney movie on in the background.
We had Disney movie on in the background. And even now when I watch that movie, I'm like, no, not good times were had in this moment. But you walked in the front door and you came. I was sitting in our living room on the very edge of the couch because I just did not want to sit. And you said, what's going on? How you feeling? And I think we went to the bathroom once before we decided to leave. Is that right?
Well, I watched you have a couple contractions and I kind of looked at Matthew like, how long's she been like this? Like, how long has it been like this? And I kind of looked at you and I said, like, are you feeling any pressure with the contractions? And you said yes.
I said yes.
And I was like, in my mind, I was like, it's time to go. But like before that,
I thought I needed to poop.
Yeah.
That's
and
what I felt.
Yeah. So I said,
and immediately
it's time
I saw the switch in you. And I remember you turning to Matthew and you said, it's time to go. She's going to go to the bathroom before we leave. And you're going to drive fast and I'm going to follow you. And red lights are a suggestion.
It's kind of like a NASCAR race whenever we're at that point.
Oh. It's like, okay, all right, this is good. So I went to the bathroom and it felt wonderful to sit on the toilet. That was very cozy, like that.
Which is funny because most women hate that. But you did very well there.
Those poor women. Yes.
That was your desired.
That was my
That was your spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole time.
So we got in the car. I pity any woman who has had a contraction in the car. It is it's every bit as bad as they say it is. I'm so sorry. Don't do it. So we drove quickly to the hospital. And I remember y'all putting me in a wheelchair when we got there, I think, because we decided I could not walk.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody did.
Oh, and this was during the we were barely post-COVID. So you had the mask
and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So they handed me a mask to put on. I was like, I can't breathe. So I was wheeled to the check-in counter and I remember the lady, it's like she didn't even look up. She asked our names, our numbers, whatever. And then she asked me my social security number. And a contraction hit. And I was just I'm just sitting there moaning basically the whole check-in process, gasping out my social security number to this lady. So we went in. I think at that point they were supposed to screen you for COVID and ask you all the typical, do you feel safe in your environment, in your home life, all of this stuff. None of those questions.
Well,
nothing.
Yeah. We had called ahead to Amanda on the way and she knew where you were at in the process. So she had already made calls to prepare a room. So I think they were kind of we're just trying to get you to a room at this point.
Yes, because the first time we called Amanda when we got in the car, our midwife, and told her that we were coming and told her kind of what was happening. And she said, okay, I'll have a room ready for you. And
I think you called her.
I did.
And she called back some point.
She called back to tell us our room was ready, I think.
And I answered the phone. And on the phone, she said, I forget what she said, but basically because I was the one answering, she knew
when Matthew answered the phone that things were happening because you didn't answer your phone. So we were wheeled straight up to labor and delivery when we got there. And I got in there and I think I put on my gown and wanted to go straight to the toilet. I think went straight to the toilet and we were sitting there for a while. I think at one point they tried to move me to the bed and I could not do it. I think I did like 1 or 2 contractions there and said, no, I have to go back to the toilet. And we went back there. And at some point while we were sitting there, my mom arrived. And that was probably the best moment so far that day. I think the relief of my mom getting there. But we sat on the toilet for a little while. And then did Amanda come in before I started? No.
Once after you started pushing, because you started pushing on the toilet and you didn't know you were pushing.
No, I was sitting on the toilet.
When I heard you, we ushered her into the room.
My loving husband sitting between my knees on the floor of a hospital bathroom. He's holding my hands through contractions. And I suddenly think I'm going to throw up all over him and ruin this whole day for us. I'm going to barf on him. Just suddenly felt like I was going to be sick. And then we realized that I was pushed, like my body was just like heaving the baby out through I wasn't heaving up, I was heaving down.
Yeah, you asked me to get a trash can. You said, I got to throw up. So I go to grab the trash can, I'm holding it in front of you, and you start heaving, but it's nothing's coming out. You start seeing stuff come out.
And I remember Kayla stepping out, and then I just heard ruckus in the room. Just like things were happening.
Well, and one thing, like obviously we've had lots of time to reflect on it now, but in that moment, I think we had mentally together prepared so much for the long game that, I mean, I don't even know what time exactly it was at this point, but your water hadn't broken but like 10 a.m. and this is like
I think
3 in the afternoon.
I was going to say, this isn't even like dinner time yet.
Yeah, we got there at 4:10, 4:15, I think. So
even with you at this point of heaving, like I remember Kayla had popped her head in and she was like, how's she's doing? And I noticed a lot of blood and stuff coming out from you on the toilet. And I was concerned because in my head, I was thinking, I mean, I don't know what normal labor looks like. I'm like, we could still have 24 hours. Yeah. So I'm like, he has blood coming out. Is that okay? Like I was kind of freaking out and you're like, that's normal. And you like pop back out and I just heard a lot of movement happening in the room. And I'm still thinking like,
we've got 24 hours.
We have a long time. What's happening? Like, and then looking back on it now, it's like, oh, they all knew. Like
we all knew she was about to have a baby. Yeah, so they were setting up the delivery table and all that.
Yeah.
I think Amanda came in moments after that started happening and took one look at me and she was like, move her to the bed now. So like, we're trying to move me. And so, you know, we got in the bed and I got in the bed.
I was there.
And started pushing whenever like the feeling came. I remember vividly, like every push, which there weren't many of them. Right. I was holding so hard to the rails, like just needing like some sort of, I don't know, something to hold on to. Some
you needed
sort of
leverage.
Thank you. Yes. And so I remember after pushing, Matthew like trying to peel my hands off of the rail because I was holding so hard. Like days after, my arms were so sore from that. We started pushing, and when I got in the bed, Amanda said, look how much hair he has.
Yeah.
And I thought I almost had my baby on the toilet.
Which would have been totally fine. And honestly, I was even surprised that she made you move because usually that was my very first birth with her, actually. I had never done a birth with her before that. And now I've done several, but that was the first time. So I didn't I didn't really know what her MO was. And so when she made you move, now I'm surprised by that. I'm like, oh, she usually just lets people birth wherever they are. But anyways, so you were on the bed. So
yeah. So I think because of that comment, I think after the first or second push, it might have been the first push, I was nervous because I was like, I can't, like, this is a lot. Like, I can't do this for 12 more hours. Like, you hear people pushing for a long time. And so I just was like, I can't do that this long. And I remember getting concerned, I think after the first or second push, that like he was like, is he okay? If you can already see his hair and I'm not getting him out, like it just made me really anxious all of a sudden that like he's not okay. And so the next push was like really intense. And I remember like pushing, and then snot coming out of my nose. I remember I was there enough to feel so embarrassed that I had just like shot snot out of my nose that I like tried to wipe it really fast because, you know, I wanted some sort of dignity. Yeah. As if that was a thing. And a nurse over my right shoulder said, she busted her nose. Like her nose is bleeding.
Well, like she kind of made a joke of it. She's like, "Oh, her nose is bleeding." Like that's kind of normal. Like it wasn't a big deal. But then I think it freaked you out in the moment. You're like, "I'm bleeding."
What? And I remember watching the look that Kayla and Matthew did between each other, and then at that nurse of like, "Shut up!" Like, how is that helpful?
Like, why would you bring that to her attention?
I saw the look on your face, like it worried you, and I was like, "This is not helpful."
That was not helpful right now. Okay, so second or so push, bloody nose, and so then we did one more push, and out he came. That was it. 3 pushes, 15 minutes, I think.
And it literally happened so fast that like we had decided ahead of time, like, oh, we don't need to record it. Like Kayla had asked us, do you want me to take photos or like a video or whatever? And we're like, you could snap a few photos, it's fine.
It's fine.
Or whatever. But literally, because I watched him come out, like I barely saw his hair to the point that it was like I could only tell that it was hair because the nurse was saying it was hair, or Amanda was saying it was hair. Yeah. And then he was there. Like there was no like his head, his shoulder, like he went from not there to just like out. And it was like the craziest magic trick I had ever seen. I was like, that did not even like what?
I am a magician. Yeah. And so I think we've talked about this a lot retrospectively of it was so quick that we just were a little in shock. Like we couldn't process it.
Oh yeah.
Because it was so fast. It was not at all what we expected. I felt like it took us days we just kept rehashing it, like talking about how it happened, looking back at photos
with the timestamps. Like, oh, at that point we were home. Like, cause I don't know, we had just taken photos. Like I even took photos of you in the doctor's office under your stress test and then
eating Chick-fil-A.
We're like looking at the timestamps. We're like, that was really fast.
That was really fast.
Yes.
Like, what was it? 7 hours? Was it even 7 hours? Or 8?
If 8. That.
My water broke at 9:45 in the morning, and he was born at 5:44.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, you weren't in active labor that whole time. Like, so it was a very, very fast labor in general, but very, very fast labor for your first.
For my first, right, which was not at all what we expected. So
sorry.
No, you know what?
But better that than the other way around.
Right. The person that goes 42 weeks hearing my story going at 39, I'm very sorry. I do have a friend who was also one of your clients who said that she kind of was not very happy with me during her labor. She's like, if I was Monica, I would be done by now. Sorry. I am so sorry. So that was Jet's first moments into the world. And I knew pretty immediately they said that I had torn. It was a 2nd-degree tear, and that begins the traumatizing process of postpartum for me. Immediately I was stitched up, and, you know, obviously I had never given birth before, so I didn't know the difference between just regular, you know, postpartum pain and what was because I had torn. So definitely uncomfortable. And so, you know, our midwife said, you know, we'll want to see you in 2 weeks just to kind of check the process, see how you're doing. And then, you know, your typical 6-week checkup. So Jet was a precious little baby. He was very strong, already holding his neck up in the labor and delivery room. So he was great. We came home the next 2 days. We had 2 days in the hospital. And so, you know, just tried to take it easy as you're told.
I mean, everything from pregnancy to the delivery was almost seamless. Almost like a dream. It's like,
I'd do that again.
A dream relatively. Thinking it could be so long and, you know, so quick. It was like, wow, that was
we were in Mother Baby the night that Jet was born talking about the next time. I mean, like, we did. We were like, okay, well,
we would try this next time. Maybe this would help.
Yeah. So, you know, you forget a lot of things really quickly. Thank you, Jesus. So we went back for the 2-week checkup, and she said that everything looked okay. Like even, where I had torn and it had been repaired, it looked fine. It was still healing, but she said it looked fine. So, okay, we'll see you in 4 weeks for the 6-week checkup. So, you and I, Kayla, had been talking. Everything seemed fine. I had never given birth before, like I said, so I didn't know what was normal and what was abnormal. So, just taking it easy, oh, this position doesn't really feel comfortable to sit in, so I'll kind of reposition or whatever. So, 6-week appointment came. That was the beginning of February, and you had gone back to work. I was still home enjoying my baby snuggles. So, Jet came with me to the appointment, which is interesting that my mom came with me to a lot of things, probably after this one because of
I think
that.
that's
But
what changed. Yeah.
yeah, but I just took Jet with me to the appointment, and he wasn't very happy in the car seat. So, I was holding him, waiting for Amanda to come in. And so when she came in, she had me lay back. So, Jet's just on my chest while I'm getting checked out. And she's down there for a couple of minutes. I was like, well, that's not normal. And so she said, okay. She said, well, you kind of got some tissue kind of coming out of the stitches right here. She said, let me go talk to somebody really quick. She says, I'll be right back.
Well, I think you told me she had also asked you, like, have you been in pain and stuff? And you're like,
asked,
well,
I'm like, well,
yeah.
I pushed a baby out
I think
like
you told
6 weeks ago.
That it hurt when you were peeing.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, it's a little uncomfortable, like when I'm on the toilet, or like when I'm peeing. She was like, does it burn when you pee? I was like, now that you say burn, I guess maybe that's how I would describe it. But that's not like, I wouldn't have just been sitting on the toilet being like, wow, that really burns. Like I've never had UTI. I've never had anything like that. So to me, I was just recovering from a vaginal birth. I don't know. So yes, you're right. She did ask me those
she
questions.
started to kind of seem alarmed, I think.
Yeah. So she went out and came back in, and I think that she brought somebody with her to kind of look at it with her. And so they told me that it was granulation tissue, which I never needed to know about. I know a lot about it now. And so they said, unfortunately, like, we're going to have to remove it. I was like, okay. So they start telling me what they're going to do. None of these words, I didn't know any of these words before. They're saying, we're going to have to cut it. We're going to use silver nitrate. We're going to, all of these things. I was like, okay. And I think in my head, I'm like, I'm going to come back and do this. Like it didn't.
Like another day. We'll do this a different day.
Like, I just was it was just so unexpected. I didn't know anything about it. And so she was like, okay, I'm going to go get some materials and I'll be right back. And I was like, oh, they're going to do this right now. And I just didn't know what to expect. So when they came back in, she said, you're going to feel some pinching and some slight burning, whatever. And I cannot remember, Matthew, did they try and numb me at all? I don't remember.
They would have. They absolutely would have tried to numb you.
I do think that they did give me some sort of shot, but it did not. It did nothing. I was just sitting there, like, trying not to squeeze Jet. Like,
well, because he was upset, and you said
he was
upset,
holding him, and so I'm holding him on my chest. He wasn't happy in his car seat, so I'm holding him while they are cutting tissue out of the stitches in my vaginal tear and burning it shut with silver nitrate. And I don't know who cried worse,
you or Jet,
or me. And like, postpartum hormones are going crazy. And so like, I'm crying, he's crying, I'm crying because he's crying, I'm crying because I'm in pain. And just like the shock of, I don't even know what these words mean. And so I think, did I call you?
Yeah, you called me immediately after.
Like afterwards, like I'm like, you're just wobbling crying to my car. Like it was.
Oh gosh, because now you have to drive yourself home.
I gotta drive myself home.
And it's like, and what people don't understand is it's like you just had the baby that day. Like not internally, like internally you're a lot more healed, but externally it's like, we just did this. It's fresh.
Oh, it's fresh. It's very raw. Fresh. It's very fresh. And so I'm calling Matthew, and obviously he has no idea what any of this means.
I think you had pulled over too, because you were like starting to drive home and you were just like,
I was so upset. That happened twice.
yeah, this isn't the first.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
We've got a long story going. Yeah, I had to pull over. I don't think that I started to leave the parking lot, and I think I stopped because I was like heaving, trying to tell him what had happened because I was so shocked.
You were kind of expecting to go, like you had discomfort and pain, but you thought it was normal. So you mentally had gone into that appointment thinking you're done. Right. Like they're going to be like, you look great, you're cleared.
Right. Well,
like you'll just heal normal from here, but you walked away with the procedure.
I did mention that I apparently have a very high pain tolerance. So I guess I just didn't realize, like I just didn't know what to expect. And so it was just the kind of trauma, I guess. I don't like to throw that word around, but just like the whiplash, I think, of thinking things are going to be fine. And then number one, they weren't fine. And then number two, having a really painful procedure unexpectedly and with my newborn on my chest was really just, it was not good.
It's almost like he was your little security blanket, though.
I was truly in the moment. I was like, this really hurts. And also I cannot squeeze my little baby. Like, I just like, I was cringing so bad. So yeah, so I called Matthew and I still don't even know what granulation tissue is. And so I'm trying to tell him all of these words and he's like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, me either, but it hurts. And so, I don't think that you came home that day. I called my mom.
Yeah, she came.
And so she came. She offered to come get me. And I was like, no, I just want to go home right now.
Well, they were telling you, like, go home, rest, take it easy.
Have a newborn.
And she's like, my husband's back at work and I got to go home and take care of him. So, and you were breastfeeding.
I was breastfeeding. Yeah. So I came home and my mom and I cry a lot together. And so, that's what we did that day. It was just not good. So we just kind of did a lot of research. And I think they asked me to come back 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went into it, I was trying to focus on whether it burned when I peed. And because again, I think maybe people listening to this would be like, well, if it burns when you pee, something's wrong. It's like, but I didn't know, like, I had just given birth. So even after the procedure in the office, like, yeah, did it burn when I peed? Yeah, but it had before. And so is it better, but just not better, completely better? I don't know. Because they also made a new scar. Right. They made a new wound.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went back 2 weeks later, my mom came to hold Jed. And when I got there, they came in and looked and it was not healing again. The tissue was already starting to come back. And so they cut it again.
Can you take just a minute and explain for people who don't understand what granulation tissue is so they sort of can, not that I want everyone picturing your area as much as just like if they could kind of figure out like what is going on. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. So the elementary version of it, because
there we go. That's what we
need. I tried, I don't understand all of the lingo, but based on the research that I did, granulation tissue is when your body, they kind of use the term overheals itself. It is producing your body when it has a wound, in my case, my vaginal reconstruction was producing tissue trying to heal itself, but it was overhealing. So it was overproducing like scar tissue, if you will. It's
like
not
an overgrowth of tissue.
Yeah, it's just an overgrowth of tissue. And so what was happening was
but you weren't actually healing.
Right. Where the stitches were, instead of fusing together, the tissue was growing out, like through kind of the stitches.
So keeping the tear open.
Right. So keeping the tear open, and also it was just like exposed tissue. Like if you have like a really bad cut, that seems to downplay what was happening. If you had a tree fall on you and had exposed skin from that tree limb. It was like not bandaging it. Like it was just constantly open. And so anytime you touched it, like if you put hand sanitizer on a hangnail, that's kind of what was happening. It was just exposed at the tear site.
So at this 2-week visit, it was like not healing. The tissue was growing back. It was sort of like going back to square one again.
Right. The tissue that they had tried to burn off, cut off, was now trying to heal itself with more granulation tissue. So it was like everything was just,
the issue was getting worse.
It was just multiplying. Like it wasn't going away. So they did another procedure that week. So this is now 8 weeks postpartum, and we've had 2 procedures. So I think I went back 2 weeks after that. I think it was every 2 weeks I went back, and every 2 weeks they did another procedure, until that happened. Let's see, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks. And then at 10 weeks postpartum, they said, this isn't working. We're going to have to figure out something else out. And so they told me that the options were they were going to have to do a surgery, basically. And they said, we can either do it in the office, like here in just this small doctor's office. We can do it here with like a local anesthetic, which is basically what they did every time, was just, a small shot that was worth nothing in my opinion. Or you can go to a surgery center, and one of their doctors obviously would do it with full anesthesia. And so we kind of went back and forth on it, but decided, like, it's been very traumatizing and really painful. So we decided that we would do the surgery in a surgery center, and I would go under anesthesia.
And at that appointment, they had also offered to try doing the burning one more time. They're like, we can do that. We can schedule your appointment, but we could do this one more time here. And that would have been the 4th time.
That would have been the 4th time.
I think you called me and we both agreed. We were like,
I can't do it.
If they're going to have to, do anything, cut you, burn you again, like, they're saying that the procedure is the done deal.
Yeah.
Final.
And all of the research that we had done said, if granulation tissue goes so long, like, I read lots of things at 3 a.m. when I was up with my breastfeeding baby and in pain, like lots of research on specifically perineal granulation tissue from a vaginal birth. And just number one, how rare it was. But when it did happen, it was typically the first birth that a woman gave vaginally.
Wasn't it like 1%?
Yeah,
of women
like
had it?
it was a little bit higher of a percentage of people had it, but once the woman had the silver nitrate and the tissue cut off that first time at the 6-week appointment, they said it typically produced by 6 weeks. That was it. Like that it didn't return. The granulation tissue
1% of women had it come back after that point.
1% of women had it come back after that first granulation tissue procedure
that you had done 3 times.
That I had done 3 times at this point. So I had found like some really obscure Reddit sites that, I probably should have been on anyway. But some people in there were saying that they had surgery and that had corrected it.
And that was it. They were done. So we had agreed at that point, we're like, if you're going to have to go through any recovery again, let's just go to the extreme so that you can just be done with it. It's not going to be pretty, but it would be better than coming back every 2 weeks and having this.
Because every 2 weeks you think this is going to be the time. Like this is the appointment where they say, hey, things are starting to look better. We still want to see you in 2 weeks, but like it looks better. But every 2 weeks you went in with that hopeful expectation, only to just come out not only with bad news, but also another procedure and being in a lot of pain, and then coming home and caring for your 6-week-old, 7-week-old, 8-week-old baby, not sleeping you're not sleeping at night. He wasn't a very good sleeper. So it was difficult for all parties.
I think we talked about this a lot since then, I think we both struggled a lot in that season together,
relationally,
individually.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, we can't have intercourse. Like, you know,
you guys can't like be intimate with each
so
other because you're
physically,
still
intimately,
recovering.
we're separate. Yeah. And then I think just spiritually, we were both just like kind of feeling a little hopeless at that time.
It was a very hopeless feeling.
Because I think you expect to go through pregnancy, delivery, and then you heal.
Right.
But it just kept feeling like we were in the waiting season of healing. Because it was like every time you went back, it was like, we're starting over. We're starting over.
Yeah.
And it's like, when is that starting point going to end?
Right. It's like by now you have a 2 or 3 month old and you're still starting from
and
scratch.
You're still recovering.
Right. And it was also a super lonely time because it was also a very like vulnerable thing. Like I wasn't
you can't just share about that with everybody.
Hey, my vagina hasn't healed like in 8 weeks. Like it's just not like it's not something like your close friends know what's going on, but they've never experienced it. And no one had experienced it that like we had really talked to. And like even talking to you with all of your experience and people that you've seen, like you hadn't seen it.
And I even talked to my midwife about it and she hadn't either.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I don't know what's going on with you, Monika.
Yeah. And everybody, like all of our friends and you, of course, were like very supportive and loving and like wanted to do anything to help us. But it was just like only so much helped because nobody understood.
Yeah.
Like nobody had walked it. And so when they came to us and told us we were going to have to do the procedure, we decided that we would do the full anesthesia. So that surgery was in April, the beginning of April. So Jet would have been February, March, April. He would have been 3 months old.
It was the week of Easter.
It was the week.
I remember because I worked at the church.
That's right.
So that's our big prepare time. Yeah. And so I had to call out last minute and be like, hey, my wife is having surgery. Like, I can't be there.
Sorry, this trumps Easter prep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
He is risen. I am on PTO. So, we went in for the surgery and, oh, this was so bad. I was still breastfeeding. And so you go in and they put you in a gown and socks and they take everything. Like they take your phone. I think I had my phone for a little while, didn't I?
You did. Yeah.
But like, you just don't have anything. So I think that like my surgery was set for like 7:30 or something, but for some reason there was a delay. And so I didn't have any of my stuff. So I was starting to leak.
Oh, you
because it had
pump?
been so long that I had not pumped. I hadn't like nursed, whatever. I sent Matthew a picture. Phone. I did have my phone.
You sent me a photo.
Because I sent him a photo of like me in my gown and it's just soaked. Like the whole front of my gown is soaked. So I'm just sitting there in a soaked hospital gown waiting for my surgery. It was terrible. So they wheeled me back and I do remember them asking how old my baby was when they put the mask over my face. And I don't remember them giving them my answer. I was out pretty quick. And so I'll let you talk about the doctor coming out.
Yeah, because you were very out of it.
I was out of the surgery. Well, I guess we should say what the surgery was.
Yeah.
The surgery was they were going to reopen my stitches. They were going to completely reopen it, kind of cut me back open
and cut you deeper.
Cut me deeper to get through all of that tissue, remove all of that tissue, and then sew up every single layer that they had gone through.
So basically clean out the wound completely with even more tissue around it.
More out of it.
Almost as if you're like removing cancer. You got to, cut everything around so that there's nothing left to.
And then he said the doctor that did it, obviously it was not our midwife, it was another doctor at the practice, said like, I'm going to tie it up so tight that like it cannot come through again. Like, and he told us that because of how he was going to do it, just because of the history of the tissue coming back, he said, we're going to stitch you up so tightly that you might need to consider a C-section if you decide to do another birth, because it will like, you will tear the next birth because of how tight I am going to like stitch you up.
Yes.
Right?
And I had something to say about that.
You did. We talked about it.
I remember that point vividly.
He said I would never tell someone to have to have a C-section, but he said based on the procedure that we did, you've been sewed up so tight that he basically said you, with all likelihood, will tear again if you have another vaginal birth.
Yeah, if you are pregnant again and are trying to decide what delivery route to go. So surgery happened. I'm still laid out unconscious, and he comes out to the waiting room where you were. And you can talk about that because I wasn't there.
He pulled me into a room, and basically that's what he just gave me the update. Was there something that
he from what you told me, he said that it was much worse than they expected when they got in there.
He did say when he got in there and saw, because I don't think that he was a part of the process of like viewing you before the procedure. I think
we did have like one appointment consultation before the surgery, but he hadn't been there from my 6-week checkup, my 8-week, my 10-week, he hadn't been there for those.
But he did say that it was worse than he thought it was. When he got in there to start cutting it out, he had to take more.
He said I had to go out further and in deeper to remove all that was there.
And he said based on the way that it was growing, that was the first time that he had speculated perhaps you had some kind of reaction to the stitching.
Yeah. That it was used. The material potentially of the stitches that was causing my body to almost revolt.
Yeah. He said he didn't know that for sure, but that was his speculation, and that he had never seen anything.
And so he had used something else.
Yeah.
He used a different material.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. I didn't do research on that. But so he had said like it was just not what he expected, and that I was going to be in a lot of pain. And prescribed me some very heavy medication that I'm not a medication gal, really. Hence my natural delivery. I don't respond well. Like Sudafed, I tried one time and felt like I was not in my body. Like I had a full out of body experience. So I don't do any sort of like heavy medication at all. And so I think he told you then, like, I will refill that prescription for you. Like I didn't give you enough. Like
he said, let's start with this. He was like, you very likely might need more. And you used it all and said, I need more.
and that's coming from, I didn't want to take it. Like when we got home, I was like, let's just try ibuprofen. Like I can't even remember what it's called, but it also like it's possible to be addicted to it. Yes. It wasn't like Oxy or anything like that, but I can't remember what it was.
And he said you are not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds. and you have a 3-month.
He was 13 pounds.
Yeah. So she was not supposed to even be
I wasn't supposed to lift Jet.
Holding him. I mean, she was breastfeeding and continued to breastfeed. So that was just a whole nother challenge. I had to take time off from work. Yep. I think your mom came over and helped. I mean, you're at this point now you're recovering. I would say worse than
it was like giving birth, but like a 3rd-degree tear. Like
it was worse than the first time.
Yeah.
And you have a 3-month-old now, not just a tiny little baby.
Not a 7-pound baby anymore.
And I mean, Jet's a great kid, but he was not a good sleeper. He would at this point he would not sleep in a bassinet. No, we had been alternating through the night, holding him.
He wouldn't lay down. Like we were sitting up in bed we were alternating every 2 hours, sitting up in bed.
And I think we were about at that point still here. So I mean, it was rough on all parties just getting through that time, because it was like you would breastfeed him, but I would have to like hold him, and it was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
So beautiful, easy pregnancy, super fast birth. So seamless, unmedicated, everything went like a charm. And then everything hit the fan after, basically.
So when people ask me to be a surrogate, this is why I have to say
This is why I say no. Postpartum.
Because the pregnancy could be beautiful, but then I have the postpartum and don't even have the cute baby to look at. So
yeah.
So we had the surgery and began the healing process or non-healing process all over again. And I went in for a 2-week checkup, just like postpartum. I went in for another 2-week checkup, and this was the week of our anniversary, our 2-year anniversary, right?
Yeah, our 2-year anniversary. Yeah. We had planned a
getaway, because it was like, it was an
overnight getaway, because you were just going to pump.
I think this was 6 weeks after the surgery. It was 6 weeks because I thought I was going to be completely healed. So we were going to get away. We were just going to be the two of us. It was going to be wonderful. It's in our anniversary. So it was 6 weeks after the procedure. I went in and the tissue was back. And that is the 1% of people that this has ever happened to. And no, 1% is after less than 1%.
They said that
because the man that did the surgery said, like, he's retired now. So I don't remember how many years he had been in the practice previous, but he said, I've been in this field for, I don't know,
30, 40 years. Yeah.
And he said, I've never seen this. He said, like, I've never heard of this. He said, like, colleagues have not heard of it. Like, I don't know. Like, there is nothing like feeling like a unicorn medically. It is not a good time. It is not magical. It's like, it's
the opposite.
It is not good for somebody to look at you with 40 years of experience and say, I've never seen anything like this. Like, I don't want to be me right now. So the first time that they had to burn and cut the tissue was devastating because of the shock.
Right.
But I think even more so, the 6-week checkup after the surgery was worse because it was like, we have explored every option known.
We went to the extreme.
We thought that we had gone to the absolute extreme to fix this, and it didn't work. And I don't know where we go from here, and nobody knows. Like, the doctor didn't know what to tell me, except we're going to burn it off again. It was like, I called Matthew, and I did have to pull over. I almost wrecked. Like, I almost went on an exit ramp. Like, I almost went the wrong way on a highway, like crying so bad on the car, talking to him, and pulled over, just devastated. Just all of the emotions that, like, just don't know what to do, and just really hopeless and disappointed. Just, how long is it going to be like this? So we just kind of had to rebound from that. That was a very low moment for me, but for you, because you're not in the body that it's affecting, but like, he was having to pull way more weight than a typical, like, no offense, postpartum dads, you do great work. But like, after the surgery, a lot was expected of him just because I couldn't. And he's also back at work. So like, he would come home from work and then basically fully take over Jet. And I know he was tired and just didn't know how to help me, which was another level of just helplessness.
And you were struggling.
I was just not good.
Mentally, it was a lot.
Yeah. I think that we went back 3 or 4 weeks after that. And finally they said that we think it's going to heal. We think it's okay.
After they had burned it
one more time after the surgery, they said, I think it's going to be okay. Like, it's still there, but it's not reacting like it did the last time. Like, at this point, postpartum for you, it was not acting like this after we burned it. So we don't know what fixed it. Was it the different material of the stitches?
So did they use a different material that day in the office?
No, they used silver nitrate still.
It was the same. It was the 4th time they had done that same procedure.
But just the stitches were different. So I don't know if it was finally.
And the doctor did say, after the very intense surgery that you had done and it came back, he said it wasn't as bad as it had previously been, but it was kind of a medical anomaly to them that it even came back.
Yeah.
And it had to be taken care of. So that, I mean, that's not great, but at least that was better, I guess you could say, than the previous times where it came back and they had to do it. So
at this point, you're like 6 months postpartum? Like,
it
was a little over 5 months.
The appointment where they found it after the surgery was the very end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And Jet was born in January. So he was five months.
5.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, 5.5 months. So I think that we were officially cleared, like you're supposed to be, quote unquote, at 6 weeks, at 6 months.
I'm so sorry.
And what a joyous day.
What a joyous day that was for your marriage.
That was a long process. My goodness. So,
which is why I was shocked just a mere few months later.
When at 7.5 months postpartum from Jet, you got a text at about 7 a.m. saying, "Does that look like a line to you?" And it was.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can reach me at Surrendered Birth Services on Instagram or email me at contact@surrenderedbirthservices.com. Be sure not to miss an episode by hitting the follow button. Also, we'd love for you to leave a written review of the show so that more people's births and lives can be changed by the love of Jesus and the empowerment of accurate birth education. If you really enjoyed this episode in particular, please take a screenshot of it and post it to your Instagram story, tagging Surrendered Birth Services. If you would like to be a guest on the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, please click the link in the episode show notes to fill out your interest form. Also, if you're interested in taking my childbirth classes, birth consultations, or having me as your birth doula, please click on the link in the show notes to take you to my website for online and in-person options. Just as a reminder, this show is not giving medical advice, so please continue to see your personal care provider as needs arise. We hope you have a great week, and remember, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands. At what time do your kids usually go to bed?
We start the process at 7, and Jeff is in a situation right now where he's getting up for the next 45 minutes saying that I need to pee.
Stalling.
Yeah. So in the toddler bed now. So
that's what happens when they move to a toddler bed.
Yeah, have the monitor right here. We're going to turn up the brightness so we can see if he escapes.